If you've seen the headlines saying Trump just signed an order to give every American $1,000 for retirement, stop believing that for the next 10 minutes. Because that's not actually what happened. What did happen is stranger, more political, and honestly, more interesting than the headline. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what this executive order really does, where this $1,000 number actually came from, the 5 rules that decide whether you personally qualify, and a second, completely different $1,000 program people keep confusing this with. By the end, you'll know exactly where you stand and whether this headline was ever written about you in the first place. Quick disclaimer before we dive in, this video is for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is personal financial, tax, or investment advice. Rules, income thresholds, and start dates for government programs can change, so always confirm current details on official government sources or with a licensed financial professional before making any decisions with your money. On April 30th, 2026, President Trump signed an executive order with his name plastered across a new retirement website. But the $1,000 bonus everyone is talking about isn't new, isn't automatic, and most people scrolling past that headline don't even qualify for it. Let's start with where this money actually came from, because this is the biggest myth. Rewind to December 2022. Congress passes a massive retirement reform bill called Secure 2.0. Buried inside it is something called the Federal Savers Match. The idea was simple. An estimated 56 million working Americans have no access to a workplace retirement plan. No employer match, no automatic paycheck deductions, nothing. If you're a gig worker, a freelancer, or you work for a small business, you're mostly on your own. So, lawmakers, from both parties, designed a fix. Starting in 2027, if you're a lower income worker and you put money into a retirement account, the federal government matches what you contribute, up to $1,000 a year. It quietly replaces an older, far less popular tax credit called the Savers Credit, which historically less than 6% of eligible taxpayers even bothered to claim. This law was signed under President Biden. Bipartisan. Already scheduled. Already written into the tax code. So what did Trump's executive order actually do on April 30th, 2026? He didn't create the match. He branded it. Here's what actually changed. The order directs the Treasury Department to build a new website, TrumpIRA.gov, live by January 1st, 2027. Think of it as a curated marketplace. Instead of workers Googling best IRA and drowning in confusing options, the government will list pre-approved, low-cost IRAs that meet strict standards, low fees, simple index-based menus, no minimum balance. It's modeled loosely after the retirement system federal employees already use, famous for having some of the lowest fees in the country. But here's the catch. Financial experts keep pointing out, this platform doesn't offer anything a motivated saver couldn't already get from any major brokerage today. The real value isn't the website, it's the match sitting behind it. So let's get specific about who actually receives that money, because the eligibility rules are more layered than most headlines admit. Rule 1. To get the full 50% match, your income has to be genuinely low. We're talking modified adjusted gross income under roughly $20,500 for single filers, or $41,000 for married couples filing jointly. Earn a bit more than that, and the match doesn't disappear immediately. It phases down gradually, fully disappearing once single filers cross about $35,500 and joint filers cross around $71,000. Above that, this program does not apply to you at all. Rule 2. It's a match, not a gift. Nobody gets handed $1,000 for existing. The government matches 50% of what you personally put in, up to $2,000 of your own contributions, capped at a $1,000 match. Put in less, and you get less back. Rule 3. The timeline is later than people think. Even if you qualify, the match applies to contributions made starting in 2027, and for most savers, That federal match money doesn't actually land in your account until 2028, once your 2027 taxes are processed. This is not a check arriving this year or even next year. Rule 4. You'll likely need to route your contributions through an IRA listed on TrumpIRA.gov to keep things simple and protected from high-fee products. And Rule 5, the one almost nobody talks about, the executive order itself states in its own legal language that it creates no enforceable right or guaranteed benefit for any individual against the federal government. It's also explicitly subject to congressional funding. An executive order can direct an agency to prepare something. It cannot, on its own, guarantee that money lands in your account. Now, a quick but important clarification. Because two different $1,000 programs are getting mixed up constantly online. Everything we've covered so far applies to adult workers through the Savers Match. There's a completely separate program called a Trump account for children under 18, created under a different 2025 tax law, where nearly 5 million kids have already received a one-time $1,000 deposit from the Treasury directly. Same number, same president's name, completely different law, different age group, different mechanics. It's also worth mentioning the reaction from the retirement planning world has been genuinely split. Some advisors are optimistic that pairing a curated low-fee marketplace with a real cash incentive could meaningfully boost savings among workers who've never engaged with retirement accounts before. Others are more blunt, arguing this executive order changes very little in practice, since the underlying law and its 2027 start date were already locked in well before this signing ceremony. At the same event, Trump also claimed a young saver using this system could eventually build a nest egg worth around $465,000 by retirement. A projection financial experts say is technically plausible under ideal, uninterrupted market conditions, but far from guaranteed for someone living paycheck to paycheck on a lower income. So here's the real answer to who actually benefits. Lower income workers without a 401k, disciplined enough to contribute their own money first, starting in 2027, assuming Congress keeps funding the program and everything launches on schedule. That is a much smaller, much more conditional group than the thumbnail implies. And to be clear, none of this replaces Social Security or changes it in any way. It's designed to sit alongside it as one extra tool for people who currently have none. This doesn't mean the program is worthless. For the right person in the right income bracket, an extra $1,000 a year in matched retirement savings, compounded over decades, is genuinely meaningful. But it's not universal, it's not immediate, and it's not legally guaranteed. So the next time you see a government benefit with a president's name stamped across it, ask 3 questions. Is this actually new? Who specifically qualifies? And when does the money actually show up? Because headlines are built for clicks, executive orders are built for agencies, and your retirement account only cares about one thing, whether the money is actually, eventually, sitting inside it. If this video actually cleared things up for you, that's exactly why I make these. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel keep breaking down confusing policy headlines like this one. If you know someone who shared that $1,000 headline without reading past it, send them this video. It might save them from a bad assumption. And if you want more breakdowns like this the moment new policies drop, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.